one of those like brainiac people. He works for a company that's all they do is he works for a company called Teradata. He's like a thinker that's like way out there. I don't get the cloud. I don't quite understand it.
It's a computer somewhere.
I know
Everything's in a
exactly.
computer somewhere.
Everything's somewhere in a computer.
Whoever came up with the term the cloud was a genius, because we all just think of this place that maybe doesn't really exist, or does, we're not really sure.
Yeah. Is God up there? Is God up there in that cloud?
It's heaven.
Right. Sounds so natural.
Doesn't like, and I'm always like, but they've made it difficult to I don't know. I'm just not
a fan of the cloud, obviously.
Well, I just worry that it just all is going to go poof, like a cloud kind of goes poof.
Right, exactly.
I mean, we read too many books where that sort of thing happens too.
Right.
I mean, everything comes to an end, right? I think like a Google's gonna end. I think I want my pictures up on Google.
Precisely.
One day Google's gonna go out of business. I'm gonna be
Right.
like, oh, man, that's a bummer, dude.
I know. So I don't know that I want everything there, but I don't know. Andrea's in the house.
I don't have a choice anymore.
Yeah, well, because of storage and because everything's all the files are so blasted big these days because everything is so cheap,
High def, man. Everything's high def.
Yeah. So anyways, well, Saturday was fun seeing Andrea. We missed you.
We did. We missed you.
Yeah, I'm so sorry I couldn't make it, but I don't know if Adrian explained what happened.
She did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Circumstances,
It was better that you didn't come, but we missed you.
We missed you. But just for those of you, we had a retirement party for a longtime buyer at the store who retired after 34 years. So all of our sales reps and lots of people showed up. So it was lots of fun. We were all outside. So
yeah,
if it was a super spreader, it would hopefully not happen because we were all outside. But anywho, we got some good books coming, I think.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait to hear. I sat through an Emma Klein Zoom today. She wrote a book called The Girls.
Yeah.
That I loved in 2016, which seems like
really 2016.
Yeah. And so I was kind of like, part of me was like, oh, I thought it was earlier than that. And the part of me was like, oh, 2016 was a long time ago. So
yeah, that's what I think. That seems like a long time ago.
Yeah.
But
Honestly, though, right now with how I feel, anything that says 2019, it feels like ages ago. Anything pre-COVID just feels like that was a lifetime ago. Anywho, so
she has a book coming out this summer
called The Guest, and sounds awesome. So I loved The Girls. So we're gonna see. What The Guest is. So it looks like it's going to go Gabe, Tom, and Andrea. So Gabe, I've set you up to share your screen. So take it away.
No, I thought Tom was here before me, but I don't care. I'll go.
Well, you were technically on. You were just walking away. You just you had walked away for
I went to get my
technically on is what we were going with.
Yeah, you were technically
technicalities,
on.
man. The technicalities.
You're going to put your makeup on. You're getting your makeup done.
Yeah, my face or my head that gets shinier and shinier. I'm not a fan of this high definition thing.
Me either. Where's the blur? I need the blurring.
I need the blur. So this is a novel that I am presenting here. Went on sale last week, but I've just had so many books to present, and I just wanted to give this one a little bit of a highlight because it is one of the favorites on our list this past season. Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone by Benjamin Stevenson. And the novel begins with the protagonist telling the reader that, in fact, everybody in his family has killed someone. My brother, my stepsister, my wife, my father, my mother, my uncle, my stepfather, my aunt, me. And oddly, in this family of killers, where we pick up these protagonists, it's about a year after he has actually testified against his brother in a murder situation because he was given the job. His brother killed someone and he was supposed to dispose of the body, and the body was not dead yet. And so they're like I said, a year down the road. He's at this really miserable family reunion at a ski resort, and then there's a dead body. So that case, along with various other dead bodies in our protagonist's history, come up in the telling of this story, and it's just a lot of fun. It is just immersive, and think the Paris Apartment, think that kind of a book, really taut little mystery, but this has that kind of fun edge to it. It'll make a fun kind of Brit indie movie, quirky characters, little twists, funny. I think Knives Out is a good example, is a good comp for this book, but it's just fun reading. This is for you to, take with you. You get a really good mystery, you get a really lively narrative, really quickly told, and it's a really fun voice. And I'm a fan of those old comedic mysteries. They don't make a lot of them, like the Eddie Murphy.
They're coming back though.
They're
I'd
coming
like
back
to see
strong.
some, yeah. That's just a fun mystery that's also got a comedic element to it. They're a lot of fun. So this is a good little bit of that. It's just a lot of fun to read, and great airplane read, great giveaway read, great take the afternoon off and read a chunk of a book.
Puts me in the mind of God. I can't. Oh, Robert Orman. Orman.
Osmond?
Osmond. God. Whatever he's like.
I mean, you're thinking Thursday Murder Club or not?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thursday-
Richard Osmond.
Robert Orman.
I don't know who
Richard
Robert
Oz.
Orman is.
Susie Osmond.
Susie Orman.
I know where you're at, Jules. We know.
All right.
Well, I've been hearing about this book. There's so much buzz about this book. So I was looking up. So Wendy, my counterpart, Penguin counterpart in the Bay Area, she posted a while back. I can't recommend it enough. Clever, funny, fast-paced. One of the best mysteries I've read in a while. So word is out. Now, I don't know how Wendy got a copy and I never did, but
That's
anyway,
really
that's
weird.
beside the point. That's not important.
That's really weird.
Just that. There must be lost in the mail.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
a lot of stuff UPS lately has been very
UPS is really unreliable.
Lost
But I
of
have
Vernon.
been hearing a lot of buzz.
I have
so
too.
that's
Yeah,
great.
there's
Good
been some
buzz.
good buzz on this one. So yay. All right, Tom Benton.
Okay, so my first book is Rick Rubin's The Creative Act, subtitle A Way of Being. So first of all, it is a gorgeous
really good.
object. I mean, and he, hopefully we know who Rick Rubin is, but if we don't, he is one of the most important music producers today. Like, that's it. I mean, he's produced everyone from the Beastie Boys and Tom Petty to Lana Del Rey, Adele, and I associate him most with Johnny Cash's last records. When Johnny Cash was sort of thrown aside really by the music industry, Rick Rubin brought him back and made him relevant again through the records he made they made together. So he's really this he's kind of like he is a guru in that world. And so you're not going to find in here, this is not at all a book of, a memoir. There's nothing in here about Adele or Johnny Cash. This is a book about its creativity. So it's more Liz Gilbert's The Big Magic or the classic artist, Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way. He's tapping into, and he can't help but when he goes into creativity, he can't help. It's also philosophy. It's also like Zen. It's also meditation. It's all of that. And he said himself, I set out to write a book about what to do to make a great work of art. Instead, it revealed itself to be a book about how to be. So this is really, if you're at all, I mean, we all have artistic impulses. Some of us, follow through on them. Most of us don't. But if you have that feeling like you want to explore that part of yourself, this is a perfect book. And books about creativity, all of these books are great. And this was an immediate bestseller. We can't keep it in stock. And like I said, it was designed by Rick Rubin himself. So it's just a gorgeous book to hold. So this is The Creative Act by Rick Rubin. And it's the sort of book, we will be selling this book at Christmas just as much as we're selling it today.
Yeah, I agree with that. And if you didn't see the 60 Minutes on him, watch the 60 Minutes because it puts it all into it really gives you in that 20-minute segment a real understanding of who he is, and will understand this book even more
That's right.
on what
Yeah.
his process is, because I loved what I think it was Kesha maybe that he worked with
And he was working with currently, yeah.
currently. And what I loved about it is like he doesn't want there to be a Rick Rubin sound. Like most music producers, you can
That's right.
tell who was involved in doing it. And he's very much this, you need to bring it out from within you. And so that's what this book, I think, does.
That's right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and like he told Kesha, he goes, just go home and write essays, just write.
Yeah.
So
Get it all
yeah,
out, and
get
then
it out.
you'll see where you're supposed to go. It's like that. So those words of wisdom
Yeah.
that lead to great art. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
The best one I thought in the show, and Amanda put the link into the chat there. So I'm glad, because the best one was the Tom Petty.
It was.
Just the interlude.
Tell that story.
Oh yeah, the interlude. Like Tom had all these like demos, like all these demos. And in between a demo, he played like the 3 chords to, I can't even remember the song.
It's the Mary Jane song.
Yeah, Mary Jane. Yeah, Last Dance with Mary Jane.
Yeah. Right. And they were it was just like thrown away chords that were in between. And he heard those, and then he rushes over to Tom Petty's and like, start with this. This is
Start
your
with
song.
this is it. Yeah,
Right.
he is a genius. He looks like he's, especially now, and the stuff he did in his dorm room. Oh,
Fascinating.
fascinating. So
I
he
do-
just has one of those brains.
Right. I do want a memoir from him someday, because can you imagine? But in
Yeah.
the meantime.
In the meantime, that's it. Okay, Andrea Tetrick, you're up. And then Kim DeVoe is joining us, I see. So we're bringing Kim DeVoe on the screen. Hi, Kim.
Hi.
Sorry, I saw you in there, but we were in the middle of Tom's thing. So
Oh,
didn't
no, I
wanna
thought
bring
I
you in.
messed it up. That's
Yeah.
okay.
So Andrea's going right now, and then it'll be you.
Okay.
All right.
Hey, I'm excited about that book. I'm glad that you talked about that. His work, Rubin's work with on the American recordings stuff that Johnny Cash did that you were talking
Yes.
about is killer.
Yes.
Amazing.
Unbelievable. I mean, it showed an American master, introduced an American master to a new generation
Yep.
of listeners, which is like so important, let's face it, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So doing the Lord's work out there.
That's right.
Ruben, I wanted to talk to you guys about a book that I need to share
Okay.
with you, which I haven't done yet. Okay, here we go. Look at that cover, Field Work. This is by Ileana Ray.
Nice.
It's the subtitle is A Forager's Memoir, and this is from Agate Midway, one of our little indie presses, based out of Chicago. They do some very interesting fiction and great cookbooks and cookbook memoirs, that sort of thing. And this one definitely stands out in that field. Ileana Reagan was a National Book Award nominee for her debut memoir, which was called Burn the Place, a chef by trade, and now a forager by constitution, really. She thinks that she gets that from her Eastern European bloodlines and like family traditions. So this book does span her heritage as an Eastern European person, and then moves to her childhood in Indiana, and also talks a little bit about the restaurant years, but then moves to the current day where she's running a B&B in the backwoods of the Upper Peninsula in Michigan. So she's had this very interesting trajectory. In 2020, she basically gave her restaurant to her coworkers, the people that she was paying at the time, which was pretty amazing, right? And just walked away from it all. So this book discusses that whole trajectory, really gets into foraging for food, and is quite a read. A very interesting person, and can write like nobody's business. So there you go. That's Field Work. It's out tomorrow. Yes, out tomorrow. And it's $27 hardcover. Look at that cover. It's beautiful.
It's a good, really good cover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful cover.
Really good cover. Sounds like a really interesting story too.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Very interesting person.
Okay, Kim DeVoe.
Yeah, we've sold some of those already. The cover is really striking. Okay, my first book is another Laura pick. It's called Really Good, Actually, and it's a debut by Canadian writer and comedian Monica Heisey, I'm not sure, who is a writer for the TV series Schitt's Creek. This book is a sort of anti-romantic comedy featuring Maggie, a 29-year-old PhD candidate in Toronto who is going through a divorce. Her struggles and unraveling are told mostly through her interior monologue. And the whole book is raw, darkly funny, and very relatable. It's definitely not your typical millennial divorce story or rom-com. And it's based on the author's own experience marrying very young and divorcing in her late 20s. And the feelings of isolation, confusion, and shame that she felt, and just how hard it was to go through that. But as a comedian, she wanted to tell this story in an irreverent, very funny and yet heartwarming way. And, she's sort of like a millennial Nora Ephron almost.
Okay.
And if you like Where'd You Go, Bernadette, and especially if you liked Fleabag, you'll love this book. Laura and I both love it. It's so relatable. And sometimes you absolutely can't stand her. She acts just horrifically, but she's going through a lot, and it's a humorous, it's really funny.
Sounds really good.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
Sorry, hold on.
And it has a great cover.
That's a really good cover.
Yeah.
She wasn't. This is relatively new, isn't it? Though
It just came out last week. Yeah.
Just came out
Yeah.
last week.
As soon as I saw Laura's little tag in it, I ran over and just grabbed a copy.
Yeah.
Brought it
'Cause
home and just love it.
Laura, I'm telling you, Laura's got the touch.
She does. She definitely does.
She picks some really, and what I'm interested in mostly is, and she works in our store and has worked there forever. I don't know how she's picking them.
I don't either.
I
don't
mean?
either.
It's just like,
Because I actually, this book was a little bit on my radar screen. I'd seen it somewhere and the covers really, grabbed me.
grabbing.
And I read about it and I was like, oh, it's by a comedian. I'm in.
Yeah. I had to talk to her. I got to pick her brain a little bit about that.
I have to ask her.
Because she
have to ask
picked
her.
some really unique ones.
Yeah, I think she got this from Adrian.
Okay. All right. All righty. Okay, Gabe.
She takes a shot,
Takes her shot. She scores. Let me tell you.
She does.
So I was going to talk about this book, but I won't now. Thank you, Kim, for doing such a great job. Luckily, I packed another book in my holster today.
Look at
Something good for
you.
3.
Coming prepared.
Not gonna let anybody down. So, but thanks, Kim, because I wanted to talk about this book because it's one of those that I think needs just people to recognize it's out there. And it's a really warm-hearted book.
Yeah, I think it'll do really well.
Crossing my fingers. Sometimes you get a soft spot for a book. This is one of those. I think a lot of us who read it really liked it.
Yeah. It was so fun. And it just so reminded me of Fleabag, which I loved.
So good. Okay, I'm gonna just talk about a quickie Dan Levitt book. It goes on sale tomorrow. What's Gotten Into You? And this is a cool book because it's basically ultimately a book about what makes us up physically as human beings. And it begins with the Big Bang. So it's really a pretty comprehensive and really readable and accessible and smart enough not to put off the science crowd. And I think accessible enough for the casual reader to pick it up and go, I learned something from this book. A journey from the Big Bang all the way to where we are today and where us as individuals, let's say 150-pound Gabe, has got about enough carbon in him to make 25 pounds of coal. I see that, Jules. It's one straight up my high school weight. 25 pounds of carbon, enough sugar to fill a salt shaker, enough chlorine apparently to like clean like a whole neighborhood's worth of pools. And our ultimate value on the market, if we disintegrate and go into our parts, would be about $2,000. But it's really cool how from the Big Bang, it took only like a few 100 million years, apparently a short amount of time, for life to come about. And it apparently in that space-time, that's not a lot of years. And how we got to where we are, and we're still apparently propelled by these ancient bazillions-year-old atoms that are make up each one of us. It's a trip you read. It's a lot of fun. I haven't got quite to the end of it, but it's one of those books where you just can pick it up and keep reading, and you're just like, oh, kind of cool.
Wow.
yeah.
I'm really worried that if somebody can figure out how to extract all of our resources pretty easily, that, you know, forget utility poles and muffler swiping, people are just going to go into like, you know, reducing humans down to component, you know, resources for
We're down
the.
to the recycle place, man.
Soylent Green, baby. Soylent Green.
Ooh, I'm chilled right now.
That's another one of those books, Gabe, though. I think that's like, for me, it's kind of like The Cloud. All that Big Bang stuff, and that's some trippy stuff that when you think
Yeah,
about
some of it
the-
is like reading a Russian novel. You kind of bleep over the names, you know. It's kind of
Yeah, right.
you kind of
yeah. No, it sounds fascinating though. And I like that it's more accessible probably for people like me and maybe don't quite get it. We'll talk about the 150 pounds thing later. Anywho. Tom Benton.
All right. So my next book. So a couple of years ago, we published Grady Hendrix, The Final Girl Support Group, which was one of our biggest books of the last couple of years, because he is like he's the leading writer right now in horror, especially sort of lighter horror that's humor as well as like the real deal. So the new book out last week, I think, is How to Sell a Haunted House. So set in Charleston, as I think the last few books have been. So I'm going to set it up by reading it got a rave New York Times book review, which says, Grady Hendrix's horror novels are a gateway drug to the genre, bridging the warm and cozy with the harder stuff. He's explored vampires and exorcisms, the trauma of surviving a serial killer, recombinant demons, and now in perhaps his greatest creation, a haunted puppet named Pupkin. So until I read this book, I had forgotten about this other horror trope, which is the haunted puppet and doll genre. So that's all over this book. You know, it's everything that Grady Hendrix fans want. It's terrifying, it's funny, it's super smart about the genre. It's great. And so last month, January's number one indie next pick was Age of Ice. Let's think back. February's number one indie next pick, Grady Hendrix's How to Sell a Haunted House. Just saying.
Just saying, Tom. Just saying. There's something about your books. What was the one, the Southern Ladies Book Club thing?
Oh yeah, Southern Lady, Guide to Vampire, Southern Lady.
Vampire Slang or something. Southern, yeah.
And then we didn't
really
publish
good.
that one. We only started with the last one, The Final Girls.
So that Southern one was, okay, that was somebody else that published
It
the
was.
first one.
That was
Okay.
Quirk Books, I think.
Okay, because that's the one I read of his. And it's good. So I think a lot of people may have read that. So this is the new one.
And he's quite the showman. Like he's a real performer. So if you ever get a chance to see him, he's really incredible.
Yeah, sounds like his does he do that off book tour too? I think he does like the shows.
I think that's
yeah.
right. Yeah.
Yeah. No, he is quite the showman. So really interesting, really unique guy.
Right. And puppets and dolls, terrifying.
Yeah, those dolls. I finally got rid of all my girls' dolls. I don't know why I was.
I mean, look at that bear right behind Gabe. We've been looking at it for so long, but
I finally, when I
It
got my
scared me
eyes
for-
done, I saw it. It took 3 years and I had no idea. And then all of a sudden I was like, was that a bear?
Just wait till that thing starts going off.
Starts moving. Little Chucky. All right, Andrea, what you got next?
I wanted to talk about the guest lecture.
Nice jacket.
Really good
Um,
jacket.
Yeah, it's like so nice. This is from Grove Press's paperback original imprint called Black Cat, which is exciting. A lot of really great literature, accessible to a wider audience that much more quickly by going straight to a nice paperback edition. And this is from Martin Rilker, and it has been named a February Indie Next pick,
Mm,
which we're excited about. Nice to see that, of course. And it's on the most anticipated lists for winter, early spring reading from, who is that? Let me see, where are my notes? The Millions and Bustle. So that's cool.
wow. Yeah.
Yeah, so kind of, in two disparate cultures, really, right? Like the different sensibilities for those magazines. So you like to see that. And basically this revolves around, this is a work of fiction that revolves around our protagonist. Her name is Abby, who has just lost her job in academia and has been forced out unfairly under the terribly archaic tenure system that is currently plaguing real life professors. You may know one of them yourself out there, seeing that there's some La Jolla folks on this call. But anyway, but she's asked to give a guest lecture. She's in a hotel. She's left her husband watching their two kids, and with a certain memory process called I can't think of what's it called? Something about the house. She basically, that's funny. I should probably try to apply this actual memory trick.
Is it the Memory Palace?
Yeah, the memory palace. Thank you. So using this process, she basically she comes up with her speech, memorizes it, her lecture, and in the process goes into a hazy dream state where she has a talk with the subject of her lecture, John Maynard Keynes. This is so fascinating and seamlessly done. It's a novel of ideas, but also an internal monologue with our protagonist, who's very interesting. Of course, like trying to juggle work concerns with putting food on the table for her kid, and just, dealing with our modern, not so existential crises that seem to come like one after another at every turn. So this is just a true delight. Booklist says that it's a clever, provocative novel with its hard-wrought optimism, and honors a call to basically disrupt the status quo in academia. Also, the status quo in our lives. It is, this is not a doom and gloom book. It's definitely optimistic, which is nice to see, especially with a tinge of, scholarly concerns about it. So that's the guest lecture. Stock in at Warwick's. It's $17 trade paper.
Looks really good.
Yeah.
Good. Really interesting that it is a Indie Next pick too for February. That's awesome.
Yeah, nice to see.
Yeah, really good to see.
Pretty package on it. People will pick it up.
Yeah, honestly. Yep.
I like novels set in academia.
I do too.
Some of them are really good.
Yeah.
There's a new, speaking of Straight Man, the Richard Russo book, there's a AMC show coming of that. I'd like to.
No kidding. Oh yeah, I want to check that out.
Yeah, with Bob Odenkirk.
Oh, that'll be really good.
Yeah,
Oh,
it should
that's
be fun.
good. And is there not, I'm not sure, but there might be a sequel, and Russo has a sequel coming or another book?
I'm
set?
reading The Galley right now. Deborah brought it home the other day.
Okay, right.
Nobody's Fool.
Oh, no, right.
It's a great one. It should really be considered its own hefty subgenre at this point, like mysteries, it should just be, yeah, it's just, it's an academic,
Academia.
yeah, academic novel.
Okay, Kim, what do you got next?
Okay. I can't do this book justice. I read it so long ago. My next book, it actually comes out tomorrow. It's called The Twyford Code, and it's by Janice Hallett, who has been dubbed the modern Agatha Christie by the Sunday Times. And both this book and her debut, The Appeal, were hugely popular bestsellers in the UK. The Twyford Code is a puzzle mystery, and the story is actually composed of 200 audio files that have been found on an old iPhone 4 that belonged to a missing ex-convict, Steve Smith. And so the whole book is a transcription. And the ensuing story alternates between Stephen and some of his former childhood classmates today, and Stephen's childhood, and specifically the disappearance of his wonderful teacher, Miss Isles, who taught him how to read. He was an undiagnosed dyslexic. And her obsession with a children's book series written during World War II and rumored to be full of coded secrets that lead to a hidden treasure that was sequestered during the war. And the book is hugely entertaining. Stephen Smith, the ex-con, is a really likable character, and the book it's genius. I mean, and it's ingenious. The clues, the secrets, the code, the acrostics, the missing pieces of the transcript that you can't quite hear. It all fits together, but nobody but a genius is going to put it together until the end. And then you go back and you're like, oh wow, how did I never would have put this together. So if you like puzzle mysteries, and it's kind of on the cozy side, definitely, this might be for you. It's really neat.
I love it. And this seems to be a good time of year for those, weather's always a little...
Actually, Adrian read The Appeal and loved it. And that's why this book was on my radar screen.
Yeah, it sounds great. I haven't heard of it, but it sounds amazing.
Yeah, same
Yeah,
here.
it's
Sounds fun.
really cool, very clever, very, very new and different.
Always love that. Always like having something that surprises you.
Yeah, and if you want a little brain teaser.
I don't want to feel dumb though.
No,
brain
yeah,
teaser.
I
Emphasis on the little.
No, I'm like, I'm not good at this at all. Like, I'm about Wordle level, and I couldn't solve these acrostics. It's not something that I'm experienced at. But you don't need to
You
be
can
a
still
puzzle
enjoy the book without the
master.
acrostics.
Yeah, you don't need to be a puzzle master to enjoy the book.
Sounds
Yeah, I'm
fun.
always amazed at the authors that can do that. I mean, it's like plotting it out over, there is definitely a very big talent in doing that.
Yeah, definitely.
Yep. All right, Gabe, we're gonna go lightning.
Lightning. That's my middle name, girl.
Hey, for today, that's a resolution, right?
Again, resolutions over week 1.
Oh,
They never last. Just keeping it real.
let's talk about this. You know who I've got interviewing him?
Who?
Richard Gere.
Oh, I did see that. That's where I
Yeah.
got the idea. That's right. That's where I
Yeah.
saw it.
Yeah.
That's you are like rolling.
I might have to go to Richard's house and help him set up his Zoom.
The microphone.
Terrible,
How fun.
terrible job.
Terrible job, I'm telling you.
What do you do all day?
I know.
That's great. And so this is a great little book. I presented it, people would be like, do I need this? And I'm just like, it is really great art. Patrick McDonald did a book with Eckhart Tolle years ago that did really, really well. Continues to sell really, really well. And it is just small pieces of writings from the Dalai Lama, illustrated by Patrick McDonald of Mutt's cartoons, comic strip fame. Really great art, and the really well chosen, poignant short passages. reflecting on the our relationship with the world and our relationship with one another. It's right now what we're doing to the planet, and we're at each other's throats. It is kind of a calming message to get. So I think it's a great gift book. It's a great book just to have and pick up and, kind of calm you down. When you need a little jolt of spirituality every once in a while, a little optimism in this world, you can pick something at least that you can think about for a minute. And it sounds trite, maybe because this book is so small, but just, sometimes you just have to stop and reflect a little bit and think about things a little differently. So I thought this was a great looking book, and I am happy to have it on my list. Went on sale the last week as well.
I think it's just like a little coffee table. I mean, the little gifty kind of book, right?
Yeah, it's a gifty.
So no, this was one of those. This was one of those when the publicist came to me about doing an event. Tom, you're probably tired of this story because I think it's told it.
No, I love it
times.
so much. I love hearing it.
But it was one of those where I was like, oh, do we do a book, an event for a gift book? And, it's the illustrator. I don't know. But there was like something noodling in the back of my head, like, I need to say yes to this. And
Nice.
look what we got, Richard Gere.
That's what happens when you think of
None other than Richard Gere.
No, 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 Richard Gere. Well, at first, when she said Richard Gere, I was like, she can't be talking about Richard Gere.
The other
Like,
Richard Gere.
the other Richard Gere. But it kind of makes sense because it does have a lot of connection with the Dalai Lama. So
Yep.
it makes a lot of sense that it was. So it was just like, I was thinking maybe we'd get the Dalai Lama to like zoom in, but I think that might be pushing it just.
You're not ruling that out, though. It's possible.
I am not ruling it out. I
Never
am
know.
not ruling that out.
You might be over at Richard's house, chillaxing,
I know. Or Richard might be there. Who knows? Who knows?
Julie, Richard, and the Dalai Lama. all
I
in
just want
fun.
somebody to take a freaking screenshot. Okay. I just want a screenshot of this thing.
And you're gonna get that. Okay, which one doesn't belong? Kind of question.
Exactly.
You're gonna be a meme.
Which of these squares belong here? That's
No
what I feel
offense.
have. No, not offense taken. It's just, it is absolutely the truth. Sometimes I do kind of like go to myself and it's just like, I'm in suburban California, I'm sitting in my little office, when I hosted like John Grisham and some of those people, it's just sort of like, whatever. It's very fun though. It's very fun. All right, Tom, lightning round.
Okay, my lightning round. So out tomorrow, I think, this little book called The Bill of Obligations, The 10 Habits of Good Citizens. So Richard Haas is a former diplomat. He's worked in Republican administrations, Democratic administrations. He's the president of the Council on Foreign Relations. And we've done a few really good books with him about foreign policy, basically. And who would have thought we would need a little book about citizenship? I mean, if you told me that a few years ago, I'd be like, no, that I'm sure that never occurred to him either. But what a great idea now to put out a book that tells us things that I guess we think we should know, but he grounds them in history and civics and politics. I mean, they are basic, these 10, because we all know about our rights, but what about our responsibilities? And so the habits he talks about are reject violence, value norms, respect government service, which has gone by the wayside. So all these things that maybe as a culture we need to be reminded about. So it's a fast read. I mean, there's a lot of history here. Just really a solid book, not big, not long. So it's just the right length. He quotes Madison when Madison said, "A bad cause seldom fails to betray itself," but we can't count on that, on bad causes anymore betraying themselves. We need to do some work of our own as citizens. So he'll be all over the media. He's all this week on Morning Joe, The Bill of Obligations.
That seems like it's a must for everybody.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Seems a little woke to me, Tom.
Oh, I'm loving it. Gabe's calling the woke call. That's awesome. A few years ago, and Richard Gere again. I'm getting my Richards mixed up. I'm gonna drop another Richard.
This is Richard Haas, Julie. Richard Haas.
But I'm gonna drop another Richard name, Richard Dreyfuss. I'm gonna drop his name too a little bit here. He when I was working at Barnes and Noble, he would come in the store and he had this whole initiative, and he actually was working with USD, ended up working with USD, about civics and about how we've gotten rid of it in schools. Kids don't understand what their civic responsibilities are. And if we don't get that built back into the lexicon of our education system, we're kind of a little screwed.
Right.
Because people don't understand what, roads, police,
Yeah.
what the government.
You know what
provides
I
for us.
recall being the most taken class at summer school? Civics.
Mhm.
People didn't do well during school. They had to make it up in summer
Let me make it
school.
up. Yeah.
I don't know if that was the same everywhere, but
Yeah, you had
And then
to-
they got rid of it.
California, you had to pass civics in 8th grade in order to go to high school.
Yeah, but it's gone now. So it must have been too hard. So they're like, oh, let's get rid of civics. We don't need the
Right. Well,
kids
one
learning
of
about
his
that.
one of his bills of obligations is support the teaching of civics, which we all need to, like we are, but yeah.
Yeah, it really is vital to the foundation of our democracy, is people understanding what it is.
Understanding the democracy itself. Yeah.
Right,
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Participating in it, let's not forget that.
right.
That's a big problem. I
Yeah.
mean, we got to put those two things together and, get it done.
Yep. All right, Andrea, what book you got for us as a light moon?
Okay, great. Hey, I just wanted to talk a little bit about your fabulous career, Julie,
I
um,
know, right?
because it is amazing, this industry. My boss always says that publishing is one of the last great glamour industries, and it's really true. We get to rub elbows with a lot of brilliant people.
It is pretty amazing. They're just they're little anecdotes. I mean, there's not like a friend, but they're pretty cool little anecdotes.
Yeah, and you can really, I think that you can apply the whole thing to not just the authors and the publishers, but also the other people, booksellers, reps. There's a lot of very interesting, eccentric, no doubt, and intelligent people in this industry. And
Right.
It's a joy. They're paying us to do this right now.
I know,
How
it's
cool
kind
is
of
that?
cool.
Yeah. Okay. So back to the matters at hand. I wanted to talk to you about My Father's House. This is the latest from Joseph O'Connor. Amanda is a big fan of O'Connor's last book, Shadow Play. She raved about that and no doubt put a few copies into customers' hands. I know she wrote a beautiful blurb for it. So thanks a lot, Amanda, for that. And
I'm gonna tell you too, real quick, Andrea. Kim did this last week for Tea Time. You've got another devotee on the screen with you in Kim about Joseph O'Connor.
Okay, excellent. That's it's good to hear. So just a reminder about it, that I'm not going to go too crazy about this. This is in stores next week, January 31st. It's a $27 hardcover from Europa Editions. So it will be impeccably edited. Great cover there. This is atmospheric and cinematic, and our protagonist, Father Hugh, can't think of his last name right now, Father Hugh
O'Flaherty.
O'Flaherty. So I read this quite a while ago now. He is like one of the great characters in World War II literature, I think. His foil, the Nazi commander over occupied Rome, is absolutely dastardly, very well written, and the tension between those two as the stakes get higher and higher is really something to read. It's just really great writing. What else? This is the first in a list of in a series of literary thrillers. It's called the Rome Escape Line trilogy. So there'll be some more books in this series, and I'm looking forward to it. Basically, our father is working in his own way in the resistance to smuggle Allied soldiers that have been caught behind enemy lines and Jewish citizens out of Rome to try to save them. This is set in 1943 Rome. So excellent book. There's so many audiences for this. Cannot miss, basically, if you pick this up to give to a friend. But also I highly recommend it for a wide array of readers.
I know it was on my list. It keeps bubbling up and down because the other one that keeps bubbling up and down, Andrea, is the Verheyse book. And so I think I'm reading Joseph first since it's out first, and then I'll get the Verheyse book done because I can't wait to. That's going to be my pleasure reading because I just adore his writing.
Yeah, but that's a doorstop. So that is a commitment. You gotta.
Yeah, but once I go in, I'll get it done. You know what I mean? Once I get into that one, because I think it's about 700 or 800
Is this one a
pages.
doorstop or no?
No, this one.
Yeah.
No,
Just
it's
a
about
regular.
370, maybe, something like that.
All right, Kim, take us home.
Okay, my last book it's a debut. It's The Bandit Queens by Parini Schroff. And I haven't gotten a chance to read this yet, but I'm definitely going to. Readers are just loving it, and it's set in and I'm doing my best here. It's set in India, and it's a comedy, and the main character is a young woman who lost her husband 5 years ago. And he just disappeared. She doesn't know where he went. And although she didn't kill him, everyone in her village thinks that she did. And so she's ostracized, but being known as a self-made widow has its perks. No one messes with her, no one harasses her or tries to control, i.e. marry her. And it's been great for business. No one dares to not buy her jewelry. And now other women have seen, what a great life she's having. And they start asking her for her expertise in husband disposal. And it's supposed to be dark, hilarious, and in a really neat look at, gossip, the caste system, village life, patriarchy. And I think fans of like Jesse Sutanato's Four Aunties and a Wedding and the Finley Donovan books would love this.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds like
It sounds like so much fun.
Yeah. So
speaking of Finley Donovan, I can't think of how to say Elle's last name. We're hosting her.
I know.
So can't wait for that. That's
I
gonna be
know.
a hoot and a half having her in the store. So
And Andrea, I wanted to say that my father's house, I can't even tell you how much I loved it. I mean, I went on a rave last week about it. I mean, I couldn't stop talking about it. I loved it.
Right. Yeah, it really is a special book. I feel like this is going to really put O'Connor on the map like he hasn't been. He's like, for some reason, his books just haven't hit at the right time. And it's not for bad writing, that's for sure.
No, it was incredible. And it would appeal to such a wide audience. I agree with you on that.
Yeah, I think it has a lot going for it. And I can't see how it's not going to be on the long list of some awards come that season, because the writing's just so great. He's
definitely
his powers. So.
And either, one of the TV network, one of the, Apple or Netflix or Hollywood is, I think, going to do another, they would be wise to pick this up. It would make a great movie.
Oh yeah, I think, or a limited series. I think
either, right.
Tell that story in that format, but check it out.
Yep. Awesome. All right, another week of really good books, you guys. Thank you all for coming in. Really appreciate it. And check out our calendar. Would be remiss if I, as the events person, if I didn't talk about Warwick's and our events. We do have some virtual ones. So those of you who aren't in San Diego, there's still something for you to see that we're bringing to you. But if you're in San Diego, keep looking at our calendar. I've been booking fast and furious, and so we've got lots of great authors that are coming into San Diego. So come out and see us. We want to see people at these events. So until next week, everybody, happy reading.
Bye.
Bye all.